Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have GPO Plus Inc. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol GPOX and is a product development, manufacturing, and distribution company which offers a diverse portfolio of high-quality, innovative products sold directly to consumers and retailers. Happy to welcome the president and CEO, Brett Pojunis. Nice to see you, Brett.
Nice to see you too, Anna. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're excited to hear about your company as well as lots of huge revenue growth. So take it over. Call me back when you're ready for questions, and the floor is yours.
Will do. Thank you so much. So we're really excited. This is one of the first times that GPO Plus we're going out to the investment community and sharing our story. So let's kick it off if we can. First things first, we have a disclosure. Our attorneys say you have to look at this and review it. The deck will be available for you after the presentation to look at it further. So a couple things before we get started with GPO Plus. I've been doing this for a while, and I've been working with the investment community for a long time. And when I work with investors specifically, there's 6 things that most investors care about. What does your company do? How do you make money? How much money are you planning on making? What's the opportunity for investors? And how do investors make money? And so I plan on addressing all of that throughout this presentation. So at GPO Plus, we are a product manufacturing and development company. We also do distribution, and our primary clientele is specialty retailers, and that's your gas stations, your smoke shops, your bodegas, convenience stores, and that's an industry that we've been going after, and we've been doing very, very, very well. Currently, we're in over 570 locations across 12 states. Our business is kind of unique. We've broken up into 4 different sections. We have products, distribution, marketing, and sales, and we're going to get into each one of those as we go on. So the first one we're going to talk about is products. So what kind of products does a specialty retailer want? Well, we're learning that now. So when we first got in, we started with one product category, which was recreational hemp and CBD products. And since we started with that, we've expanded our offering quite a bit to go into multiple different product categories that we feel are best suited for different specialty retailers. But before we get into the products, we have 3 different types of products. We have GPOX brands, licensed brands, and then our partner brands. So now GPOX brands are brands that we own. That's where we're going to realize the highest margin. In some cases, it's going to be a house brand, like a value brand. In other cases, it's going to be a premium brand. Licensed brands, those are opportunities that we go into where we enter into a licensing agreement with another company. We do all the manufacturing. And then we have really good margins on that as well. The best example would be Yuengling's ice cream. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with Yuengling's. It's the oldest brewery in the U.S. During Prohibition, they had to pivot and stay alive, so they got into making dairy products, and they've been making ice cream for over 100 years. Now, they're based in Pennsylvania. I'm from upstate New York. We knew about Yuengling's ice cream probably too much. Just amazing, great flavors. And so what we've done with them is we've entered into a licensing agreement with them where we're taking the iconic ice cream flavors and we're building out an entire recreational hemp line. And the last one that we're doing is the partner brands. And the partner brands are any products where we go out and find the best in class and the best in breed products, and we just represent them. So we do all the heavy lifting to, again, make sure that we're dealing with the best products that sell. Now, when you look at our product categories, as I mentioned, we kind of start off with recreational hemp, some of the age-gated products like Kratom and CBD. But we early on in our company, we acquired a company called New Triumph. And New Triumph is a nutraceutical company, great sales online. If you go to Amazon and look at the reviews, it's amazing reviews. We're really happy with the products and how they came out. But what we love more than anything is Herberol. So Herberol is a natural alternative to Adderall. It's a focus and energy type of nutraceutical. But what's really nice about it is if you've ever taken Adderall or Ritalin or Vyvanse or any of those chemically, well, I'll just say prescription drugs, you get the jitters. Your teeth are grinding, and some people works great. Some people they don't really like that. But with Herberol, you're not going to get that. With Herberol, it's going to be a very mellow, but you're super duper focused, and you can get a lot of things done. So. Throw me a couple other products if you would. We also have apple cider vinegar. These products are fantastic. Our price points are a lot cheaper than some of the big competitors out there. Elderberry, We have about 17 different products right now, total in SKUs. What's that one? Is that keto? Kerosene. Wish I could tell you what this one does, but I'm not familiar with this one. But when you look at all the different product categories that we're in with New Triumph, we cover a lot of ground, and we're kind of like, I hate to say it this way, but we're in all the latest and greatest, whatever's selling online the most, on all the marketplaces, so like Amazon, Etsy, Walmart, etc. Now with the tobacco, we're really primarily focused on the disposable nicotine vape. So we've teamed up with a company called Mr. Vapor. It's a fantastic product. We have this on the countertop now at about 279 stores and growing. Quite frankly, we never thought we'd be in the tobacco industry in any capacity, nicotine or otherwise. And right now, it is our #1 product category by a long shot. So we're thrilled about that. But as we start to increase our product offering, we're also staying very focused on general merchandise. And we don't want to be known as a CBD or a hemp company. We want to be known as a, kind of that last mile that can kind of solve a lot of problems for our customers. Now, the way that we've been working, which is kind of unique, is we do, again, you're going to hear me say this multiple times, but we do all the hard work. We look at all the data and we make data-driven decisions. When we put together our product mixes, we want to take all the guessing out of, the guesswork out of, ordering. And so we basically developed a line of products. So we have the Feelgood Shop Plus, that's currently in 470 stores. That's a product mix that's well curated with all the top-selling recreational hemp and CBD products. The Nicotine Shop, which is the Mr. Vape, which I just shared with you, that's 100 sticks display case on the counter, so it's right next to the cash register. One of our biggest customers is called Yesway, Allsup. That's the 12th largest convenience store chain in the country, 455 locations and growing. And there's a new concept that they recently launched that they're excited about and we're excited about called Allsup's Express. And if you look at the behind the counter image, we're literally right behind the cash register. We have 1/3 of the whole area. And those are all filled with our products. We're really excited about that. Now, the HBA section, I'm sure, if you've been to a 7-Eleven or a Circle K and you needed like Pepto-Bismol or a 2-pack of Tylenol, that area is referred to as HBA, the Health and Beauty Accessories section. In that section, in some cases, we have, the full shelf. It's a 4-foot long. In some cases, we have multiple shelves. And in there, we're putting all of our, our keto snacks, our wellness products, and our healthy products. And then we have the beverage vault. And so when you look at the products that we represent, sometimes they're just standalone, just like, like an end cap. Other times they're in the cooler. And, even though they're age gated, they're still, they're still in the same area. So we have a lot of different opportunities and product mixes that we can just bring in a plug and play type of matter, again, where we take the guessing out of it. So one thing that I want to spend a minute on is kind of talking about what we've discovered. When we started down this path, we didn't really fully understand, A, what we were getting ourselves into, which we're thrilled that we did, and B, how the industry really worked. Now, when you look at most of these specialty retailers, like a 7-Eleven or a Circle K, they only have a few, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 main distributors, which accounts for 80 to 85% of all their products. That other 15 to 20%, that's represented by dozens, in some cases 30 or 40 different vendors and distributors. So our target market and our niche is to take, we call it the last mile, but the last 15 to 20% and aggregate as much of that, as many of those products as we can. And when we go to to our customers, we want to get more products because they like working with us because of how we do our distribution, which is called DSD, which I can't wait to tell you about. But when we do our direct-to-store delivery model, the DSD, they just love working with us because it's very easy and they don't have to do much. We do all the hard work. So jumping into distribution, as I mentioned, distribution is a big portion of our business. So as far as distribution goes, we started off April of last year where we decided, hey, let's get back to our core competencies. Let's get back to the distribution portion of our business that we'd like to do. COVID kind of took us off track because you can't have a distribution company if no stores are open. And so when we launched Distro Plus, we had 3 main goals. The first one was to increase the number of customers that we have. The second one is to increase our product offering. And the third is to enter into an acquisitive growth strategy so we can do a growth by acquisition strategy and scale and grow very rapidly. And I'm very pleased to announce that we've done all 3 of those things. And not only have we done all 3 of those, we've wildly exceeded our expectations. And so, currently now we're in, 570 plus stores. We're in over 12 states. And when we got into this business, our first hub was Lubbock, Texas, and Lubbock, Texas serviced the entire area. Now what we've done is we've moved into more of a traditional hub and spoke model. And what that means is we have one regional hub, which services about 1,500, maybe a little bit more stores. And that regional hub also services all of the mini hubs. And the mini hubs, they'll service anywhere between 100 and 200 locations. And what we do is how we determine which market we go into. So whether it was, Des Moines, Iowa, or Dallas, Texas, or Kansas, we go into these markets because we already have an anchor store like a Yesway or an Allsups to go into that space. And then we start scaling out geographically. So it's all contiguous. It's all continuous. And as we start to grow, we're starting in the Midwest and the central part of America and going east and west. And so right now we have about 4 more markets coming online. We've got Austin, Texas. We've got Albuquerque, New Mexico is going to be a big one for us. Houston's on deck. And so we're pretty excited about our growth. But what's nice about doing the mini hubs and the regional hubs is it's very controlled growth. And that's so important when you're in a growth stage because, myself and the other, officers of the company, we're like, go, 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 sales, 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 sales. But when you have it with a regional hub and a mini hub model, it's very, very controlled. And so you're not going to grow too big, too fast. And of course, we've already made some mistakes, but nothing detrimental. And we're only going to get better at it with each hub that we launch. So now the DSD. So let's talk about this. I'm going to go back to the specialty retailer slide that we were talking about, where there's only a couple main distributors that represent, 80, 85% of all the products in the store. Well, here's how most of them work. Not all of them, but most of them. They will literally just drop a pallet off in the back of the store. Now the onus is on the store manager and workers to take it apart, enter it into the system, like for do a full inventory, and then stock all the shelves. And then once everything gets low, then it's their job to then reorder. Well, we don't do that. We do DSD, direct to store delivery. It's kind of our white glove service. So what we do is we walk into the store, we check out. If you look at the pictures, you can see all the counter space we have, which is awesome. But you see like the Feelgood Shop Plus, you see the Mr. Vapor, and then you see Herberol. Well, we go in and we look at the inventory levels. We go back out to the van. We fill it up. We make sure that everything's exactly where it's supposed to be. Something's not hiding under a counter or moved off to the side. We make sure everything's exactly where it's supposed to be. And we make it so easy that the store manager literally only has to lift a finger, as you see in the last image on the bottom right, just to sign off saying that the inventory is correct. We came in today, and we have proof of delivery, and they received it. So it's something that the stores have really gravitated towards. They love the idea of them not having to find. And first off, we all know how hard it is to find good people these days. Now you don't need to worry about that as much. And so now going back to that same slide with our target market, going after that last 15 to 20%, we want to expand our product offering so we can do more of this for our customers. And of course, that creates more revenue opportunity for us, which we're absolutely thrilled about. But this is kind of the big win. So I'm going to call it the old school model. So what we did is when we launched the new DSD service, and we also launched, the disposable nicotine vapes as well, we did a 100-store pilot program. And the first 100 stores that we did, we looked at the revenues before we started, and it was about $580 per month per store on average. Well, after we launched the DSD model and added a few more product categories, we took that from $580 per month on average per store to over $2,120 per month per average per store. So that's a big jump of 365%. And we know that that number is only going to go up as we get more efficient, as we increase our product offering, and quite frankly, as we start to generate our own traffic and drive traffic to the stores that we're in. So we're pretty excited about that number. Moving on to marketing, the next two things we want to talk about, I could literally spend all day, but what I learned a long time ago is what's important to me is not necessarily important to the investment community, but with the marketing, don't think of it as a traditional marketing aspect. Of course, we're doing all that. And when I say traditional, I mean traditional. We've done newspaper, we've done radio ads, we've done food trucks, county fairs, especially in the rural areas that we are in Texas. So we've done some of the really traditional, but even now, I guess traditional marketing would still include, pay-per-click ads, pixeling, retargeting, remarketing, and we're doing way more than that. One of the things that we're going to talk about later with GPOX Labs.ai is we've developed a piece of technology called MSRP. It serves two functions, but right now for the marketing function, MSRP stands for Multiple Site Replicating Platform. And what it is, it's built on the mean stack. I won't get all technical, but it's built on the mean stack and it's headless commerce. So what that means is we have one centralized database where we have all the information. It could be any product that we have with all the pictures, any of the COAs that we have, product description, pricing, size, color, etc. And we store that in one spot. And then we can launch hundreds, if not thousands of websites under what we call, well, not we, this is an industry term, it's a long tail SEO, meaning we go out and we look at what the global searches are for a specific product or a flavor or something of that nature. We go and secure the domain names. We can launch a website and launch it literally overnight, fully search engine optimized, and then those sites would act as either feeder sites or primary sites for our main direct-to-consumer play. And so we're really excited about MSRP and that feature doing the headless commerce. Now, sales, we've broken up our sales into three main categories. We have our inside sales team, our outside sales team, and our digital sales team. So the inside sales team, those are the people who are making the outbound phone calls. They're very knowledgeable about our products, and they're calling all their customers and their accounts just over the phone. By the way, everybody goes to conferences and conventions. We make sure the whole staff goes there, the whole team, because it's one of the best opportunities for us to really get into that industry. We'll be at NACS in October. We were at Champs. We were at ASD. So we all do that as a team effort. But outside of the conferences, conventions, and trade shows, so the inside sales, they work the phones. The outside sales team, they service customers by going door to door. They literally go out and visit the clients. They anticipate their needs. They drop off new products, new product offerings that we have. They let them know about specials, and that's one of the best ways to scale up. And then our digital sales team, we have a very knowledgeable staff that understands digital marketing probably better than most. And some of the strategies and tactics that we're implementing now, it's Star Trek stuff. It's unbelievable the stuff that we can do now. And even though that hasn't been a primary focus for the company, it will be moving forward. And when I say will be, it's currently right now, real time, we're getting started with that. So now on to GPOX Labs. So GPOX Labs is quite possibly one of my favorite projects. But again, I like to geek out on this stuff. The purpose of GPOX Labs is to power GPO Plus and all of our divisions and all of our special projects, even the ones that we don't talk about until they're launched. And that's where we have basically, as I mentioned, it's powering all the technology for the entire company. And that's not just like one-dimensional. It's pretty much everything. We talked about MSRP from a marketing standpoint, but MSRP also has another purpose, which is the ordering system. So now, as you know, we're a publicly traded company. We have to be, up to speed with all the revenue recognition and ASC 606. And so we developed this software to make it so simple that anyone can use it, whether it's a customer logging in to reorder or order for the first time, or if it's somebody that's out in the field or on the phone, they put the orders in and we check all the boxes. So our auditors are always going to be happy with us because we have all of the information readily available. That's the brains for the entire operation. So it really serves, like I said, two purposes. But other than that, whenever we do any type of experimental marketing, or if we wanted to, just do anything that's relatively new and tech driven, it starts in GPOX Labs.ai and it moves out of there to its own division, or it stays there and will stay there, in perpetuity. But I really do love, geeking out with the technology and staying on top of things. We've had a lot of wins, and even though we're a young public company, I think over the last 2 years we've been able to do a lot of really awesome things. I mean, notably, we acquired Betterment Retail Solutions. That was a big win for us because that helped us jumpstart our distribution and our Distro Plus division. But I think that, one of the main things I want to talk about is really our revenue component, because when we made the pivot from, pre-COVID to distro, it was kind of scary because we were doing okay revenue wise, but we knew that, what we were doing in the healthcare industry was eventually going to, fade away. And it has. And I think we made the right decision. But as CEO of the company, it's tough when you're generating a couple $100,000 a month in sales. You have to cut it off and get back to your core competency and just hope that it works. And it has. So we've shown, some pretty significant growth over the last, couple quarters. We're on a pretty funky fiscal year. Our fiscal year starts May 1st, ends April 30th. And so our third quarter and the fourth quarter, we increased by over, I got to put my glasses on, I apologize. We increased, I don't have the percentage, over 320% in our fourth quarter versus third quarter. So we went from 102,000 in revenues to 430,000 in revenues. And then last quarter, which we just reported on, we did another 101% increase quarter over quarter growth. And we went from, 430,000 to over $865,000. And that number is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And, we're beyond excited. What we're not excited about right now is the margin aspect, but our margins are getting better by introducing our products that we, like we talked about earlier with the GPOX brands, where we have a much higher margin. But other accomplishments are, we launched GPOX Labs. We're excited about that. We brought on Ray J. If you're not familiar with Ray J, most people know him from his reality TV shows, but he's also a pretty seasoned entrepreneur. He started a company called Scooty Bike that he exited from. I think it was like $19 million exit. And then he also has Raycon, which is a headphone company, like headsets and stuff like that. And they generated over $300 million in sales. So he's come on as a brand ambassador for Herbal, but he's also come on as a chief digital strategist for the whole company. And, he's just been a joy to work with, and we're ecstatic about that. We talked about, what we're doing with Yesway and Allsups. Again, Yesway, Allsups is the 12th largest convenience store chain in the country. We have a fantastic partnership with them. We just really, really enjoy working with them. They, too, are also in growth mode. Not only are the 12th largest, they're also the fastest growing convenience store, I believe. And so, that relationship is going great. We talked about, the licensing agreement we did with Yuengling's ice cream. I think that that's going to be awesome because, when you look at the CBD space and you look at the recreational hemp space, name me a brand. And I want you to talk to 2 or 3 people across the country and say, what's a brand in that area? It's really hard. You really can't. And so I think that the Yuengling's ice cream flavored brand really has a good opportunity to be the first branded company that everyone's going to have, strong brand recognition with. Other than that, we talked about New Triumph. We talked about Betterment Retail Solutions. And then also with SurgePays. Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off, people. With SurgePays, Surge is a NASDAQ company. We know them very well. We work with them in a couple different capacities. But they have a couple really, really great fintech products that are just made perfectly for some of our specialty retailers. A couple examples. One is the ACP, the Affordable Connectivity Program. That's where people can sign up and get free internet. That's a great, service for the community that, our retailers love. And plus, it's a revenue stream for us. But there's a lot of other things from, gift cards to mobile top-ups that we're really excited. We're just now beginning to explore, how we can really work together. On top of that, they also have a marketplace where they sell their products, not their products, but other people's products to 8,800 plus vendors that have signed up. And we're working with them to get all of our products on their marketplace. And that's going to be a big win for us. So why now? Why is now a good time to get involved with GPO Plus? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're just now starting to communicate with you, with the investment community. And so you have a first mover advantage right now while we're still severely undervalued. So, I really encourage you to please become a shareholder, pick up some shares, get on, put us on your radar, watch our growth. We've got a pretty serious plan and we've got a great team to pull it off. But when you look at the overall opportunity, I think that the niche that we're in, it's competitive, but not that competitive on a regional basis. It is on a national basis, but we've been able to really, penetrate the market, get our foot in the door, and that has opened up so many more opportunities for us. Plus, as I mentioned, we haven't even touched the direct-to-consumer model yet, and once we do that, that's where we realize the biggest revenues and the biggest margins, rather. So we're very, very excited about that. And then when you look at the credibility, there's a lot of fly-by-night, people in our space. We're publicly traded. We have a great seasoned team. And we have a lot more credibility. And plus, on top of that, unlike a lot of the other guys, we have a lot of data. We can tell you how much each SKU sold in each store, determine trends, and we give that information right to our customers, and they're thrilled. So, I think that there's a lot that we bring to the table, but the biggest thing is really that once we start telling people our story, you're not going to have this opportunity to buy the stock this low probably ever again, hopefully. So, Other than that, I'm going to open up for questions. But before I do, I wanted to know, are you a shareholder yet? Have I done a good enough job, explaining our company and the opportunity to you? If not, please go buy some shares. And if you still need some additional questions, now's the time. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, hopefully Anna will come back and she can field some of them for us.
Great job, Brett. Yes, we need more time because we got so many questions for you. Really great presentation. Let's talk a little bit about your senior team. Talk about who you have on your team and what their expertise is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you look at young companies, one of the most important things is, who's on the bench, who's your management team. So I'll start with myself. So I've been involved in the public markets in multiple capacities for the last 20 plus years. I've run public companies. I've done investor relations. I've got a background in politics. I was, as chairman of the Libertarian Party of Nevada for 3 terms on the Libertarian National Committee. And why that's important is because since we're in some of these age-gated industries like CBD and hemp specifically, I really understand the legislative process. I keep my finger on the pulse so we can see what's coming down the line, whether it's a regulatory at the federal level or at a state level. And so that helps out a lot. But I'm thrilled to be leading the company and bringing all my experience. We've got Joe Giacone, who's normally with me on these types of interviews and presentations, but he's on a plane right now. He was meeting with another potential big customer that we're hopefully going to start working with. He's got a great pedigree. He has a lot of international business, starting with Singer sewing machines in Mexico and then in Spain. He worked at Belkin. He helped grow, the Americas, Latin America, North America, and all those sales. He started a company called Tech Armor. Tech Armor is similar to Belkin insofar as that it does, screen protectors and, chargers and cases. And he sold over 25 million units on Amazon. So he really understands the digital marketing game. And as you go down, we've got Dorsey Sparks, who's just been fantastic. Dorsey runs all the distributions. He's been doing a heck of a job down in Lubbock, Texas, and managing all of our hubs and all of our regional hub and all of our mini hubs. We've got Kiernan Nevitt, who comes in most recently from Duluth Trading Company. If you know that company with the crazy commercials, she managed a $120 million business unit there. She did a great job. She comes in from the data analytics side as well as the merchandising and merchant side. So it's great to have somebody of her pedigree as well on the team. I could keep going on, but we've really put together what I think is a very well-rounded team. And I think that as far as the senior management goes, we don't really have many gaps right now. Now we have a lot of Chiefs and no Indians, so we got to start filling it in. So I'm really excited about how this team is going to work, moving forward.
Sounds good. Question from Kinsley Romero. Kinsley wants you to talk about your logistics from manufacturing to labeling, white or other, to the store shelves. So
I mentioned Kiernan Nevitt. So she's come in and helped us out dramatically. I think the best way to address this is when we look at the whole manufacturing process, all of us in our own right, we have our own contacts. We've all manufactured and put together products. But what we haven't had prior to having Kiernan on board is one person that's leading the charge. It was always like, oh, Joe, call your label guy in China, or, Brett, will you call your gummy guy in Dallas, or, whatever the case was. And then it would kind of get lost in the sauce. So what we've done now is we've put together a very, very well-detailed SOP, standard operating procedure, starting with who our vendors are. All of our vendors are vetted. All of our vendors are, best of breed. We've gone to those facilities. We've kicked the tires. We've grabbed our own products. And we've done our own independent testing just to make sure that we are dealing with the best in class type of companies. So we have an SOP starting with how we make the product from a holistic standpoint, talking about like the marketing, who the demographics are, so on and so forth. Like most recently, we have a new product coming out called High Cloud. High Cloud is a high potency Delta 9 Farm Bill compliant Delta 9 recreational hemp product. And we're going for a value brand, so we're bringing the cost down and the dosage up. And so we saw that there was a big need in the market to have a value brand that was a little bit cheaper, but still had the effects that people wanted. We have a product coming out called Date Night. Date Night is a male enhancement and a female sexual enhancement gummy. We did a little bit of market research. We have 2 brands for that. One's DTF and the other one's called Date Night. DTF was a little bit too loud, if you will, for some of our customers. So we have an alternative, which is Date Night. That's rolling out now. So to walk you through the process, we don't really do white label per se. Most of the stuff we do is custom formulated. Of course, we do have some white label products, especially in the nutraceutical space. But we start with everything with it. What's the packaging? Who's the demographics? And then we have a whole process as to how we set things up. And it's actually a great question because that's where companies like us get jammed up. We'll have the packaging sent to one location and realize, oh no, that they're not doing it. Then we got to send it somewhere else, and then our expenses go up, and that cuts into our margin. So as of now, we have a very, very well regimented SOP from beginning to final consumer packaged good. I hope that answered your question, Kinsley.
Yeah, yes, you answered it. Just due to time, we're going to have to close, but I want to give you some time to give us some final remarks. So closing remarks from you, Brett.
Sure. I'm going to encourage everyone to please go to gpoplus.com/IR. That's gpoplus.com/IR. Now, when you get to the website, it's not going to be reflective of what I just presented to you because we have a new website that's coming online, hopefully by the end of this week, if not the very beginning of next week. But please go there and sign up for our IR portal. It's the best way to stay up to date with everything that we have going on. You can sign up for SEC filings, press releases, interviews like this. We send it out Monday mornings. We're getting ready to launch GPOX Pulse, which is our Monday morning pre-market weekly newsletter. That's just all the things that are going on with GPO Plus. So that would be the first thing. And the second thing is we'd love for you to go out and just buy some stock. I'd like to be on your radar. And follow our progress because we're gonna have a lot of fun as we continue growing and building out this company.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic presentation, and we'd love to have you on in the future with some updates.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anna.
Okay, thank you, Brett. All right, stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back with our next presenter.